Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. And today we are going to understand how many calories you are supposed to eat per day, ideally, and how you can calculate it yourself. So we're going to start by defining what is a calorie. So when we speak about calories, we normally tend to refer to a kilocalorie. So what you would find in written as kcal, so kilocalorie. And a kilocalorie is the quantity of energy needed to increase the temperature of 1 liter water of 1 degree from 14.5 degrees Celsius to 15.5 degrees Celsius. So how do you actually calculate your daily intake per day? You have to take into consideration 3 factors and then some other minus correction that I'm going to explain later on. So the first factor is your BMR, your basal metabolic rate. The second one, the energy needed to process and consume your food. And the third one, the level of activity that you perform throughout the day. BMR, basal metabolic rate. The basic metabolic rate is the energy needed to maintain your internal organs functioning and also to maintain your body temperature. And the way this is calculated is taking into consideration an individual in complete rest, so basically sleeping, lying down in a complete state of mental rest as well, on digestive rest, and also at a temperature of around 20 degrees and wearing light clothes. There are a number of ways to calculate your BMR. However, this video is made to help you do it yourself at home. I'm going also to post down below one of the websites where you can do the calculation with the formula I'm going to explain, because there are lots of formulas that you can use to calculate it. However, the formula that I use is the one of Harris and Benedict, which I think is the most accurate. Of course, you can give an error margin of around 90%, but it's pretty good. There is one important thing which I want to say before going on with the rest, and that's the fact that your BMR not only changes throughout your life, but you can be the one changing it. And you can also affect it negatively, so meaning that you teach your body to consume less calories. And this is quite common when an individual starts a diet which is very, very strict and basically stops eating or reduces the amount of calories in a drastic way. So normally when you start a diet, you should reduce your daily calorie intake of around 10% and then wait for your body to adapt to it before changing it again. But if you change it of more than 10%, then the risk is that your body gets in that state where he understands that he will not have enough nutrients, so it gets used to it. And then by reducing your BMR, you will need less calorie during your day, so it will be even harder for you to lose weight. So really pay attention to crazy diets. I'm not going to give the perfect calculation of that, but just bear in mind that on top of the BMR, as I was saying, the BMR is calculated on a complete state of rest. So when you process your food, you actually need energy to process, digest, store and eliminate the food that you eat. And in this process, you lose some of the macronutrients that you eat because they need a different percentage of energy to be processed. And this percentage is around 15% for proteins, and this is what actually you lose. So to give you an idea of the proteins you eat, normally you lose around 15%. You lose around 6% of carbohydrates and only 2% of fat. Yes, guys, this is life. We keep the worst one to eliminate, but this is how it goes. So now we know about your BMR. We know that, okay, it's a bit more because you need calories to process and digest your food. But then you have, of course, to take into consideration the level of activity you do. And when I speak about the activity, I don't only refer to the physical activity, meaning your job or when you exercise, but of course I also mean your brain activity. So the more you use your brain, the more you need energy. However, this is a bit harder to calculate, so the examples I'm gonna give are more related to physical activity. So to give you an idea, if you don't do any exercise and you sit in front of your computer during the day, during doing standard tasks, then just multiply your BMR times 1.2. If you do some exercise, if you exercise 1 to 3 times a week, and if you move a little, then you can multiply by 1.37. If you exercise a bit more, so 3 to 5 times per week, or if you cycle to work, so if 5 days a week you actually do some activities, then you should multiply by 1.55. And if you are actually active, you exercise almost every day, 6 to 7 days a week, or you have an active job, for example, you work in agriculture, then you should multiply your BMR by 1.72. And if you have a very active life, so you train very, very hard, you're an athlete, or you are a construction worker, then multiply your BMR time 1.9 even true. The age is one of the important factors. So babies and children need a lot of energy. Teenagers normally need around 2,200 calories or even more for a girl, and even more than 3,000 for a boy. And this stabilizes around the age of 20s. Then after our 40s, we should decrease a bit this calculation that I was speaking about before by 5%, and then after the 50s by 10%, and for someone over 60, then the calculation should be decreased by 20%. The climate as well can influence quite a lot. So if as reference we take 20 degrees Celsius, every time we actually remove 10 degrees Celsius of the 20s, then we should add 3% of the calorie intake needed. So let's say that if we are at 0 degrees, probably we would need to add 6%. However, if we are in a warm environment, then every 10 degrees we have to remove 5%. So if we are at 30 degrees Celsius, then we should take our calorie intake of the day and we should remove 5%. Another factor is pregnancy. A woman who's pregnant needs more calories. During the 9th month, the FAO says that a woman needs 80,000 calories, meaning 150 calories plus per day during the first trimester, and 350 calories per day on top of the normal calorie intake in the second and third trimester. Another factor that can influence is breastfeeding. So breastfeeding, normally to convert nutrients in milk, the body doesn't manage to use 100% of the nutrients, and it loses 20%, so it uses only 80% of the nutrients. So basically every 600 calories of milk produced, the woman needs 750 calories. And in case you were also wondering, like me, why when a woman breastfeeds sometimes she doesn't have her period for 3-6 months or even more, this is all, I mean, one of the reasons is because her body needs to keep the iron she needs. I hope you like this video, guys. If you liked it, thumbs up, subscribe, and I see you soon.